Welcome to World Finance Brief. Okay, let's start with a little thought experiment. Just imagine for a second, you log into your bank account, and out of nowhere, there are millions of dollars sitting there that aren't yours. What do? Do you call someone immediately, or do you maybe start browsing for private islands? Well, for one of South Korea's biggest crypto exchanges, this wasn't just some crazy hypothetical. Nope, it was a $44 billion reality that absolutely rocked their market. So let's break down exactly what went wrong.
$44 billion. That is the insane value of Bitcoin that the exchange, Bithumb, accidentally credited to just a few hundred of its users. And get this, it wasn't a hack. It was a simple clerical error, just one of truly epic proportions. So that's the big question, right? How in the world does a single typo cause a multi-billion-dollar flash crash? Well, it's a wild story about human error, the lightning speed of digital markets, and, the sometimes fragile systems that hold the crypto world together. Let's dive into the anatomy of this unbelievable mistake. The cause of this financial earthquake, it wasn't some sophisticated hacking group or a complex market manipulation scheme. Not at all. It all started with a pretty simple promotional event that Bithumb was running, an event that just went catastrophically wrong. And here is where you see the sheer scale of the screw-up. Bithumb meant to give away a prize of 2,000 Korean won. That's worth about $1.50. But instead, because of a typo, each of the 695 winners received 2,000 times Bitcoin. That's not a small prize. That is a life-altering fortune delivered completely by accident. Now, to be clear, Bithumb didn't actually move 620,000 real Bitcoin on the blockchain. This was what we call an internal accounting error. These were phantom balances on Bithumb's own books. But here's the kicker. For the users and for the exchange's trading system, that Bitcoin looked totally real. And, more importantly, it was sellable. So, this brings us to the chaos that followed. Once those 695 people saw their accounts suddenly overflowing with millions of dollars in Bitcoin, what do you think they did? Yep, they started selling. And they started selling fast. This timeline just shows how incredibly fast everything spun out of control. Within a single minute of the error, the massive sell-off started. By minute 3, the platform was in a complete flash crash. The supply of all this phantom Bitcoin just totally overwhelmed any real demand, and the price nosedived. By the 5-minute mark, Bithumb was already in full-on damage control mode. The impact was stunning, but also really isolated. While Bitcoin's price was holding steady on other exchanges around the world, on Bithumb, it crashed by as much as 17%, hitting a low of around $55,000. Just for a few minutes, if you were trading on Bithumb, it looked like the entire market was in a total freefall. Okay, so Bithumb's reaction had to be just as fast as the crash itself. The company had to move and move decisively to stop a total catastrophe and a complete meltdown of user trust. And they were quick. Their own internal systems flagged the bizarre activity almost right away. Within just 35 minutes, they managed to track down and freeze all 695 of those affected accounts, which stopped the bleeding. They also moved fast to confirm this wasn't an outside hack, which calmed down the rest of their users. Then, the process of clawing all that phantom Bitcoin back began. And honestly, despite the colossal size of the mistake, their response was incredibly successful. Bithumb actually managed to recover 99.7% of the phantom Bitcoin it had accidentally sent out. The immediate crisis was handled, but the story was far from over. Right. An event this big doesn't just disappear. It gets noticed. And it definitely attracts the attention of the people whose entire job is to prevent financial markets from imploding. The regulators. So, South Korea's Financial Services Commission didn't just see this as some clumsy typo. For them, it was a massive red flag. It was the perfect, flashing neon sign example of the huge operational risks just lurking under the surface of the often chaotic crypto industry. So now, this one single typo is about to trigger a whole wave of new regulations. Bithumb itself is facing on-site inspections, and it's not stopping there. The review is going to expand to other exchanges in South Korea. Regulators are now going to be looking very, very closely at the internal controls and the stability of the entire industry in that country. This whole crazy story really boils down to a fundamental debate. Bithumb is a centralized exchange, meaning it's a company that holds assets for its users, kind of like a bank. Now, that central control is what allowed them to fix the error so quickly, but
but it's also what allowed the error to happen in the first place. So this leaves us with a really important question. Does a mistake of this size prove that centralized exchanges are just fundamentally too risky? Or is this the kind of thing that's just a necessary, painful, growing pain for a new industry as it matures? What do you think? I'd really love to know. Let us know your valuable opinion in the comments below. And for more deep dives into the events shaping our financial world, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.